Hello, everyone. Happy New Year, and welcome to this week's and the first of the year Tuesday Leadership Tip. So, obviously, it is that time of year where we all get bombarded with, the same messages. Set your goals, new year, new you, and we're going to crush it this year. It's our year. Yet, year after year, New Year's resolutions fail at a incredibly high rate. Statistics show that most people quit within just a few weeks. And here's the thing, it's not because people are weak or because they lack discipline. Well, okay, sometimes it's that. But in many cases, it's because most people were never taught to set goals the right way or manage them realistically when life happens. So today, I want to reframe three big problems people have with goal setting. And, this is to help you approach this year differently and hopefully have you find success that maybe you haven't found in the past. Problem one, we confuse goals with expectations. Somewhere along the line, especially in business, the word goal got misused. Leaders will say, your goal is to sell 15 cars this month. Well, that's not a goal. That's an expectation. That's an objective. A goal should be inspiring, should be aspirational. It's something that pulls you forward. An objective is something concrete that should be achieved. Those are two different mental experiences. A goal might be, I want to become the top salesperson in my market. Or, I want to build financial freedom to become a homeowner. I've heard people saying that in my talks last year and this year, owning their first home. It might be, I want to get in the best shape of my adult life. An objective, on the other hand, is, that proverbial, I want to hit 18 units each month. I want to maintain 95% CSI or call 5 unsold leads every single day. You need both. If you only live in objectives, you're going to burn out. And if you only live in dreams, nothing's going to get accomplished. Great performers have inspiring goals supported by clear objectives. You as a manager, you want to be supportive of both those with your employees, but also with you personally. Now, problem number two, we set goals that don't match reality. Here's another trap that people fall into. They go from doing nothing to deciding they will suddenly do everything. And this is the comic stuff you see at the gym. You got people that are saying, I'm going to work out every day this month. I'm cutting out all sweets. I'm going to reinvent my life overnight. And the same happens at work. You got a salesperson who says, okay, yeah, I've been averaging 6 cars a month, but you know what? This year I'm going to sell 25 each month. Your brain doesn't buy it. Your habits don't support it, and your lifestyle is not aligned with it. So, you push hard for a little bit, and then you burn out. You get frustrated, and then you quit. That's why all the gyms are empty by February 1st. And then all these people, including yourself, you feel worse than when you started. So, sometimes failure is not about effort. It's about poor expectation, poor design. And you want to start with something realistic, something progressive, something that your current life can actually support and, stretch you slightly, but you can build from there. So maybe it's going to the gym at least once a week. Maybe it's simply cutting out soda or moving from 6 cars to 10 cars a month in the first quarter. All right, problem 3, and this is one that doesn't get talked about a lot. And that's when people don't know when or how to adjust. And here's where things get interesting. I've thought about this a lot, and I'm a firm believer in this. But the problem is they set goals and they will not change them, even when the world changed. So they just will not budge. Or they were constantly changing their goals to always win and protect their ego. Both are dysfunctional. And let's separate this. These are two different worlds. Short-term objectives, like monthly performance targets, these should rarely be changed, especially if bonuses are attached. If you constantly change these kind of objectives, people stop taking them seriously. They'll say, they changed it last time, they'll do it again. And it's not going to keep them progressing. So, short-term objectives, they require discipline. But those aspirational, personal, and professional goals, well, these are a little different. These should be allowed to breathe, expand them, refine them, change them as life provides new information. Let's face it, markets change, economies shift, opportunities appear, disappear, setbacks happen. All these things are gonna give you new info and force you to maybe adjust. So if you want to increase the power of setting goals, you need to make these adjustments when needed. And I looked into the research on this. One of the things I've been doing is reading a lot of papers and finding out what have we found out. And the truth is, people who thoughtfully revise and adjust their goals when new reality hits, it's been proven they're more likely to stay committed and achieve more meaningful success than those people who rigidly cling to those unrealistic goals. Goals are meant to keep you hungry. They're meant to keep you moving forward, not trapped and defeated or complacent. So, a simple real-world example just happened. The NFL just ended this weekend. Lots of teams did not make the playoffs, and some did. I would say most every team has a goal of simply making the playoffs each year. But the Patriots are a perfect example of this. They had not made the playoffs in 4 straight seasons. But you know what? Now that they're in, now that they made the playoffs, especially with the season they've had, they're not just going to sit back and relax. They're going to adjust that goal. I guarantee you every player in that locker room has the goal of winning this Super Bowl this year. Now, we know the Packers are going to win, but it's good that they still have that hope. So sometimes it's the flip side. You need to lower the goal to keep the momentum. I'll give you my example. I had a goal this year. I was going to read the entire Bible. Well, a few months into the year, I realized with schoolwork and life and travel, it was just not going to happen. But I didn't want to just throw in the towel and give up. I pivoted and I challenged myself, okay, I'm going to read the entire New Testament. That is my new goal. With all that I've got on my plate, that is what I'm going to aim for. And having that revised goal, if I didn't change it, I know what would happen. The Bible would have collected dust. I would have read it here and there. But instead, here I was, December 31st, cramming in 6 hours to finish the New Testament. I got it done. And I was reading a lot more than I would have had I not done that. With a salesperson, you think about this example, they're aiming to sell 15 cars a month. If they're consistently hitting that every month, it might be time to shoot for 17 to 20. But on the flip side, if the economy's tanking and the market is soft, not adjusting down is just going to end all motivation and inspiration. So one last one is, as many of you know, I tore my shoulder last year in the midst of a goal I had of bench pressing my weight for the first time. This was a big goal, and I was putting everything into it. So this tear, wow, I'm not going to lie, it brought me down. I had my moments, and I was ready to just throw in the towel on my health and fitness. But instead, I pivoted to lower body, increasing my strength, cutting fat, and while I had my ups and downs, this revised goal allowed me to end the year proud that I had actually still made some significant progress. So even though the goal had changed, my overarching goal of my health and fitness stayed put. So don't become someone who refuses to set goals because resolutions don't work, they can never stick, it's impossible to set goals because nobody knows what the future holds. Get that out of your mind. If you live a life without goals, without objectives, then any success you have is more often than not simple luck. So my challenge to you for this year, number 1, set meaningful aspirational goals. Things you truly love to accomplish this year, and you get to December 31st, look back and be proud about. And number 2, set some disciplined objectives, these clear, measurable performance targets. And number 3, be wise with adjustments. Be careful changing short-term goals, but be thoughtful and not fearful about adjusting those aspirational goals. And do all this with your team. Do all this with your people, in group and one-on-one. Leverage what we know works. Don't forget these, writing the goals down, sharing them with others, pairing up with somebody that holds you accountable, tracking your progress. And that last bit, adjust when appropriate. So, don't be afraid to aim, don't be afraid to grow, and don't be afraid to adapt along the way. That's your Tuesday tip, and let's make it a great year. Thanks for listening.